RSpace is a modern electronic lab notebook and data management solution. The core features of RSpace include everything you'd expect in a modern electronic lab notebook, but RSpace's unique flexibility also allows RSpace to be used in any modern research sector. Because of this flexibility, we often refer to RSpace as an electronic research notebook, or ERN. RSpace integrates nicely with your modern research data management workflows, and it can also be used to help boost the quality of the workflows performed and the data collected throughout your organization. Starting in September 2021, RSpace will also include a brand new sample and inventory management system. RSpace can be used to boost the efficiency and productivity of your scientists and help make sure that their work is recorded with clarity, accuracy, and that it's legible and reproducible for future generations of scientists. RSpace also helps with collaboration and distribution of your work. Scientists can choose to share documents with specific individuals, or if your lab has a very open culture, you can choose to automatically share everything that you do with your entire lab group. Naturally, RSpace also includes a range of compliance features to make sure that your work is properly recorded and protected. RSpace follows Alcoa Plus, 21 CFR 11, and Fair Data Principle guidelines. This means that your data is always recorded in a way that represents a true and accurate record of the work performed in the lab. RSpace is unique amongst ELNs in that it takes a very connected approach to data management. Out of the box, RSpace integrates with a wide range of different web-based tools that you probably already use. And in addition, RSpace includes a free, well-documented API that allows you to build additional connectors to other sorts of third-party tools. This means you can push or pull data into or out of RSpace from systems that you're already using outside of your core ELN. The free RSpace community server allows you to try RSpace for yourself at any time. Today we'll be working with a demonstration server that I've already opened and logged into. When you first arrive at RSpace, you're brought to an area called the workspace. The workspace is analogous to the desktop of your computer. In the workspace, you'll see a combination of RSpace documents, notebooks, and folders that can be used to organize your work. To select any item, click the checkbox next to that item, and that will reveal a contextual menu of actions that you can perform on that item. You can duplicate your work, you can move it to a new location using the Move dialog. You can rename the work or delete it. You can export the work using our powerful universal export engine. This allows you to export individual files, cohorts of data, or indeed all of your work in your choice of format at any time. You can see the full revision history of a selected document to understand how it's evolved over time. You can share that document either with a group or project that you're already working in, or you can choose to share that document with either one or more of any of the individuals who currently belong to any of the same groups that you do. You can also send information about that item to either Slack or MS Teams to enhance communication with your colleagues. Across the top of the interface, you'll see a number of different tabs that define different functional areas of the solution. Right now we're looking at the workspace, which is where you'll be recording and authoring work that tells your downstream audience about your activities in the lab. The next tab is called the gallery. The gallery is equivalent to the hard drive of RSpace. This is where you can accumulate and collect and store any file in any format from any source. You can drag and drop files to the gallery, or you can use the import button to bring up a standard file chooser to let you navigate to a destination from which you'd like to pull some files. You can also use the API to add files to the gallery programmatically too as well. Files in the gallery are organized by file type. There are areas for images, multimedia files, standard documents of all types, and indeed any type of file with extension names that you may or may not ever have even heard of. RSpace is completely data type agnostic. It really doesn't care what type of file you keep in the gallery. When you're working with images, you can click the image at any time to enter gallery view, and that will allow you to toggle through the different images that you have already stored in your gallery. You can select any file at any time to get more information about that file in the information panel. And if you want, you can also go ahead and click multiple files and move them into new locations within the folder hierarchy of your gallery. The messaging tab is used to send messages to your colleagues and to receive notifications from the system. The apps tab is used to configure some of the third-party integrations that you have access to right out of the box. The My RSpace area is a dashboard and settings area. From here, you can go ahead and see the different members of the lab that you're leading if you're a principal investigator. You can create a profile for yourself and upload a little bit of information about the type of research that you do so that your colleagues can see that in the user directory and understand what you're working on. You can also go ahead and see listings of documents that you've shared with other users. You can see your own audit trail so you can understand the history of what you've done over any period of time. And you can also use the bulk export-import area to easily export all of your work in one go. Let's go back to the workspace now and look at some basic content creation. To make new content in the workspace, I'll click on the Create button. That will give me a drop-down menu with a number of different options that I can choose from. I can make new folders, I can make new notebooks. The system will remember different sorts of documents that I've made recently. If I'm new to RSpace, this top section will be blank. If I want to, I can see a list of document types that I've previously built. These document types are called forms, and they represent different sorts of workflows that I perform often in my lab. I can build forms myself, and I can modify them as necessary to represent things that I do every day. This helps to improve efficiency and reproducibility of my work by making sure that I always perform experiments exactly the same way every time that I run them. I also have the ability to make new RSpace documents from MS Word files, from Evernote documents, or even from protocols.io documents if I use that tool. Let's start with something very simple. I'm going to create a new basic document. This is really the simplest thing that I can make in RSpace. A basic document is analogous to a blank sheet of paper, or if you prefer, perhaps an empty text file or an empty MS Word file. A basic document is made up of a single text editing field called the RSpace text editor. The text editor includes a powerful menu that allows me to choose all sorts of different content that I can then use to express myself or explain to my downstream audience what I've done. At any time, I can add almost any content that I want using the RSpace text editor. Let's start by just pasting in some text from an external source. I can now go ahead and select some of that text, and I can control some of the characteristics of the font. I could control things like the background color, and I could also naturally control things like the size or the type of the font that I'd like to work with. I won't spend a lot of time talking about the different basic characteristics of the text editor, because you've all seen tools like this before in other kinds of text editors. The second row includes some more interesting tools that allow me to do all sorts of interesting things in this document. I can, for example, insert images or files that are already inside RSpace. Or I can go ahead and add documents, files, or other digital entities from outside RSpace by simply dragging and dropping them. In this case, I'll go ahead and look for a single MS Word file. I'll grab that file from my local computer and drag and drop it onto the document to upload it to RSpace. You can see the document immediately appears on my page. If I save the page to go into read mode now, I'll be able to see that document, and the system will generate a small thumbnail so I have some sense of what's in that document. I can increase the size of the thumbnail if I like. I can toggle through the pages within that document, and I can click View to view that document in high resolution in a new tab. If I want to, I can also go ahead and open up that document in MS Word too as well. This will display the file exactly as it would normally appear for me in MS Word online. There's lots of other content that I can put into an RSpace text editing field too as well. I can choose to add tables or calculations tables. And into those table cells, I can add, again, specific elements. I could type text in here like this, or I can add files that are already in the gallery by saying insert from gallery, navigating to a suitable file, and inserting it into the table. I can also add all sorts of other content to this table. I can link to different items that are outside of RSpace. I can link to internal documents that are already part of RSpace by selecting them from this menu and saying insert like this. And notice this will insert a specially formatted link that will allow me to connect to an existing document that's already in RSpace. If I want to, there are other ways to link to things that are in RSpace too as well. So I can very easily go ahead and say see also. And now I can open up this navigational tree on the left. I can note here the document that I'm currently working on, and I can grab other documents from the tree and drag and drop them onto the page. I can even grab related folders of data and drag and drop those onto the page too as well, to show how a folder of data that I've already created may be related to the document that I'm currently working on. I can go ahead and add comments to say how I feel about my work. And I can add freehand drawings to express myself in other ways. So if I were an artistically inclined scientist, I could choose to draw something that might represent the work that I'm working with today. But if I'm not particularly artistic, I can actually draw on existing material that already is available to me. So in this case, I'm not going to attempt to draw anything more complex. I'll just go ahead and remove this. And instead, I'll go ahead and add a text drawing, a drawing that I did earlier. And now if I want to, I can add any different content that I want, including additional annotations or changes to this diagram. Another way that I can bring in documents is I can use this icon to access things that are already inside my gallery. And I can then go ahead and annotate these as I see fit here in the sketcher. When I'm finished, I can click Insert to add this annotated diagram directly onto the page. I also have the ability to add mathematical equations using a built-in LaTeX editor, code snippets using our code tool that allows me to nicely format inserted snippets of code that have come from external sources. I can edit the raw HTML of the page directly if I want to. And I can also add links to external data that I'd like to include in this document. As an example, I'll click on the Dropbox button, and that will open up my Dropbox account. Then I'll go ahead and I'll choose a particular file from within my Dropbox account, and I'll add that to the RSpace document as a link. Links in RSpace are shown with this dotted line around them, indicating this file is not really in RSpace, it's actually somewhere else instead. So if I save this document now and then I go ahead and I click on that link, you'll see that I'll be taken to that external file. And Dropbox is nice enough to even go ahead and open that file for me so that I can see it if that's what I want to do. This is one of many different technologies that we use to establish links to external data that may not already be in RSpace. And this is a great way to allow you to use RSpace as a digital hub that lets your downstream audience understand exactly where your data is and how it's been used. Our new inventory tab can be used for working with different sorts of samples and for containers and locations where you may be keeping those samples. Let's go ahead and take a look at the inventory tab. You'll notice here I have two panels, a parent panel and a child panel, that can be used to understand the relationships between different sorts of things. I'm going to click on the containers area, and I'll go ahead and look in a particular freezer room. Inside that room I have a number of different freezers. I'll tell the system I'd like to look inside one particular freezer. And inside that freezer I have different boxes of samples. I can go ahead now and look at a single particular aliquot that's in one of those freezer boxes. And from here, I can quickly understand the family of samples to which that aliquot belongs by clicking on this sample link. This will take me to the parent sample page. And from here, I can see all of the different sibling aliquots that belong to the same sample if I want to. So here we can see a number of different aliquots that all belong to the same sample. And if I want to, I can click on the unique identifier for one of those subsamples, and that will allow me to understand some of the characteristics of that subsample. The metadata and data associated with each container, sample, and subsample are all based on templates that are all fully editable so that you can record exactly what you need to know about the particular samples and containers that you work with in your organization. Ultimately, within RSpace, you'll also then be able to list those samples that you've used using a special bill of materials feature. So the way this will work in practice is that if I'm writing up a particular experiment, I can perhaps describe something about the safety precautions I've taken. In this field here, I've described the method that I've used, and I've attached a document that describes the method I'll be using today. And then here we can see the list of materials that I used inside the experiment. Each one is associated with a link. If I click on that link, I'll be taken to the subsample page that I've specified, and that will immediately allow me to understand some of the characteristics of the sample that I've used, take a look and see how much volume is remaining, understand who else has been using it, and even get access to things like unique barcodes and QR codes for that sample to better understand where it is, and how I can track it throughout the system. These are just some of the very basic steps that you'll need to use and master in order to use RSpace. For more information, contact us for a full demonstration so that you can understand the full range of functionality of the product.